because you are that lazy. Okay, this was apparently sent on the 16th, but he wrote it on the 15th. He like dated it like a jackass. Dude, look at how this is written. It's so weird. He's so weird. It's like professional. Okay. Dearest Tara, I'm going to read it quickly because it just goes on. I have taken some time to process what went on between us, and I'm writing this letter to communicate to you what I've come up with. I definitely needed some time to clear things up, meaning he's taken a few days here, okay? I just felt more comfortable expressing it in writing. I want to say before I get into it that I love you, and that I'm very sorry that you are going around pain about our relationship. I think there's a lot of good that's come out of the time we've spent together. There's obviously strenuous. I hate seeing you sad or in pain. To begin with, I want to go over the mistakes that I've realized I made in our phone conversation the other night. Firstly, I realized that I was not 100% clear on the precise details of the interactions at Harry's event. He doesn't have to explain who Harry is because I already know. And that I left room for confusion and doubt. Knowing that it would be a sensitive subject, I should have been much more cut and dry about things. Why is this a sensitive subject? Because we've already argued about it. Second, I see that losing my temper was a mistake, and I should have been more present and kept a level head. Yelling at you was not okay and only exacerbated the problem. For both these issues, I apologize, and I want you to know I will learn from them. So he's futurizing a plan with us. Next, I'd like to make it very clear to you that I did nothing wrong, suspicious, or disrespectful at Harry's party. On the contrary, I was ultra respectful of our relationship boundaries. Note that for as anal retentive as he is about language, he fucks up. On the contrary, he starts a new sentence, okay? And he's very anal retentive. Something's weird. Furthermore, the message of what I said, the part that you said I have completely different versions about, was completely true. I kept my interactions with Mally to a minimum, meaning I know who she is. And I said that I'd been spending a lot of time with you when I was in a conversation that Mally was a part of. I know that my memory isn't that great, and so when you asked me whether I'd actually said that, I allowed some reasonable self-doubt, and I was honest about that. However, the issue I facilitated on wasn't whether or not I talked about you as exactly how I said it. No, it's that you said they weren't there. This brings me to the main point, which is that there really was no problem that night. I did nothing wrong at the party, and I didn't say anything dishonest in my summary of it. The only reason it became a fight is that you were suspicious of and questioned what I told you, and when I wasn't 100% confident in my memory, you took that to mean that I was dishonest. Yes, and that was written very dishonestly. I wasn't being dishonest, though. What was missing in the conversation wasn't my honesty, it was your trust. See that deflection? You weren't giving me your trust, and that's what I need. I know you have fears. I see them. I hurt for you over them, and I respect they are serious. However, trust is something that you give someone despite your fear. When you want to treat someone with suspicion, trust is what keeps you from doing so. I was scared and unsure about attending the party and expressed that unease to you and asked what you felt comfortable with. When you told me I should go, right? Because trust is what I gave him. I was like, yeah, whatever, go. That's what you want to do. I expressed that unease, and okay, when you told me I should go, I still felt the same unease. However, I pushed through it and gave you the trust it took to go anyway. When you asked me about how the party went, I was nervous to talk about it because there's been so much friction around the subject of the cult. Yes, I did talk about it though, because I trusted that you were going to give me trust back. He lied. He fucked up. That's why I'm saying trust a billion times. You didn't give me trust back. I know this because had you trusted me and taken my report at face value, there would never have been a fight. See that? How he just turned all that around? This is the clarity that I have reached. And see how he fucks up that sentence? Right? And he's anal retentive, and all of a sudden it's, nope. I hope that we can get together this weekend and have a face-to-face talk. I'm happy to come down to Santa Cruz for that discussion. I already requested a day off work on Friday because I know it's your birthday. So I'd be able to come down Friday morning if that works for you. However, I understand if you don't want to take time on your birthday to do this, so I could come down Saturday or Sunday too. I'm so sorry this came up so near to your birthday. I really am. It's bad timing. Tara, I care so much about you and hope we can communicate lovingly about this no matter what the outcome. He's already planning to bail. I will do to make my part happen, but he's leading me on. Love, Abraham. Okay. This is going to take a second, so I'll try to read it quickly because it's my shit. It's probably less important. Dear Abraham, I would have preferred a handwritten letter, but I guess this will suffice. The other night when our conversation had ended, I was extremely upset. I had initially been afraid of getting involved with the real deal like you. What an idiot. Because I was afraid of feeling the pain of losing someone worth losing. Duh, I'm a moron. I see now the fear was warranted. Losing you, even in theory, has been a new kind of pain. When you talked up what happened to my major trust issues and reiterated the lingerie text was her just being a friend and that you were making something into something it wasn't, I was extremely disappointed by what you had to say. Without emphasis, every female reacted aggressively to that text, but none of the males seemed to notice. Aha, I think it's a violation of lady code, and that's why we were not going to recognize something men might not. My friends and I are no prude. We might be highly sexualized people, but we are ladies. We are not built into us to breach territory, nor is icing out another lady. It's a matter of class and human dignity. I don't always have it, but I often try to extend it to others. I choose only to be with those who do as well. When we hung up, I sadly realized two things in that conversation. One, that you still don't know me. Two, that you never believed me with any conviction, therefore had never really trusted me. What she said really hurt me on both counts. In tears, I looked for someone to show me why you thought these things were true, even though I knew in my heart I deserved more than that. I went straight to the heart of the matter. People that knew me and had seen my crazy. I called for people. A friend of 13 years who had been there since the first relationship, my most recent relationship before you met, and the one who knew, well, the important relationship, my crazy best Alan. To my sort of surprise, no one could agree on this major trust issue claim. To be honest with you, neither can I. Some even said the opposite. My naturally trusting nature was among their favorite qualities. Matt did second that parts of our relationship were hellish, and that there were many issues to us and between us, but he never thought that I had major trust issues, never thought he was cheating or caused conflict with this. What I got upset was his omission. He also laughed at me for even asking and reminded me that the issues aside, any man worth it will see why I'm worth it. I agree with him and you that there are issues. I've got them, so do you, but I disagree on how you think the issues lay. Alan was actually the one who helped shed the most light for us. Not entirely coincidentally, we had lived through something similar in our relationship before. We had put an official title on us. The girl kissed him and he kissed her back. That's Dorota. I never talked to her about it, never edged her out, retaliated, even when she went above and beyond to make the next 5 months of my life a living hell through minor assault, stalking, graffiti, rumor mill turning. I, like a punk, turned the other cheek like I'd done so many times before, mistakenly in my life, and said I expected people to see the injustice and do the right thing. When it didn't happen, I groveled, withered, not directly about what was going on, but about how Alan didn't care to stop her, how powerless and small I felt, and most of all, that I got hooked on my anger about the injustice of it all. Alan pointed out that despite the many emotional reactions that this cause, I gave him a lot of trust, never stooped or spied or limited him. He thought that for me, the hang-up wasn't not trusting him, it was a matter of principle, the principle of injustice and not feeling hurt about it. I have to agree, sort of hit it smack on the head. I'm reapplying the MO to this case. I believe it has been a driving force behind my frustration here too. Agreed, Ben hurt me, Ben who also loved my trusting nature and had a ton of downfall on me. And you're right to see that. I'm very unsure about life, and this is a trust factor, but I did come in with trust, as I always do, stranger whose house I entered and stayed in for 3 days. The obsessive hook for me wasn't my belief that you would cheat. It was the fact that you never believed me with any conviction. Your judgments about the situation, what to think about it, or who to believe, wavered or swayed, that hurt me. Though I understood because you had known her longer, it really hurt. I wouldn't make this up, and I would never falsely accuse. In fact, I never accused a stranger unless I was certain. I was certain. I figured that with persistence and time, you would start to see your trust was best placed. I knew in my soul that I deserved it. At times you would mildly agree or appease me, but I never once saw the conviction towards me in your eyes. How much trust you gave an unworthy party and how little you gave me hurt and frustrated me. I needed you to trust me because you couldn't. I stopped believing in your love for me. How could I love someone who didn't trust to not lie to you? I'm sure you know this feeling. No matter what you did, I couldn't feel it because it was not the kind of love I needed. And for this, I'm sorry. I watched you do many things to make this better, but they were not the things I needed. And so I couldn't believe in them or feel like I should. Like a kid, I just wanted you to be on my team. Yeah, at times I made maturity. You similarly believe that I should give you trust and deserve it in your soul. I believe you. I believe you have a beautiful soul, but the situation was not set up for me to feel fearless. In the end, I did choose fear, and for this I'm always wrong. I'm sorry that our trust became dependent on one another. It wasn't just Mally that I was uncomfortable with, though she was the only one that offended me. I was uncomfortable with the whole household with the exception of Harry. I've met them. It's right there. They had either relentlessly stared at me, come on to me, caressed me, banished me, no disrespect towards polygamy. In my early 20s, it was an ideal I even explored in finding myself in sexuality, but I didn't feel comfortable in a place that actively disrespected my monogamy, and I didn't think it was a relationship test that I wanted to go through. I was unwilling to feel comfort in a situation that I didn't, unwilling to trust you blindly, and unwilling to trust those you did. This is not because I created something that wasn't there, but because I'm so jaded. The opposite is true. I, like a Bambi-eyed idiot, can't seem to lose my naivete, despite the many millions of life reasons not to. Continue finding myself giving too much trust over too little. I didn't go in uncomfortable with any preconceived notion of anything. In fact, I didn't even know who they were until you pointed out the 40-year-old lesbian had just given the Swedish guy a blowjob at Sven as part of their scheduled sexual membership requirements. I think you called them due dates. Now I know it's DO. I didn't go in knowing this, but I did leave feeling unsafe. The day after you talked to Melly, she misaligned the weight from your rope and dropped you while climbing. Then I really didn't trust her with my baby. Oh, shit. That being said, I let the emotions get the better of me. My overarching trusting issues aren't really that, but I can get triggered by some pretty specific stuff. This was one of those things. Specific to Melly as opposed to the other females that your friends or that have hit on you right in front of me. Melly was the only one who showed a level of maliciousness and coldness that I've never trusted in a woman, and so for that reason I particularly didn't trust her. I don't think I'm wrong for having this stance, but I am sensitive to it. I understood too that you, like me, are trusting, and the face she showed you, I suspect, was held in constant sweetness. I don't believe that anymore, as she shows a lot of her male counterparts, but it's not her only one. I watched my partner enable bad behavior, and this made me uncomfortable, vulnerable, disrespected, scared, and yes, like a cat, I started standing with my hair raised, and when you do that, you look like a nutbag. And one more time when these factors unchanged, the more frustrated I got and the more my hair raised and the less credit I have had and the more upset about the situation I felt. It became a Chinese finger trap in which I felt very entangled. It's pretty awful. At handling this specific situation, it's upsetting for me to see a sociopathic looking tendency. It disturbs me greatly. The way that the situation is specific to me, I believe it's a spiritual lesson. Every few years a woman displaying these types of characteristics and I find each other funny to this thing is I'm initially really nice to them and they threaten something in my career or relationship I get disturbed by their nature, and if it's not publicly spotted, I become emphatic about this behavior being recognized, as you guys have seen. And so the hidden current cannot harm me. It's because without public acknowledgement, I know I can never win, and will often lose some part of me that they want. On a karmic level, I believe I'm finding different manifestations of mom. I've learned not to take the stuff lying down like I used to, but I've never learned to keep my cool around ice. I will always lose because I care more about what I will lose, usually for its own sake and not just a thing to have. And so often is the case with these types, to which Mally may or may not qualify. But I want to be clear, I did not look for this, nor did I lie or misunderstand. I just found something, recognized it, and reacted untrustingly and strongly against it. That's all. I wish you could see that instead of spending so much time looking at my issues and look at the real source of the shadows, opening your eyes. It hurts me that it went down this way and for so long, and still does. I too cannot be with someone who doesn't give me the trust I know I deserve, and despite any overly sensitive reaction I had, I do deserve it. In my heart of hearts, I didn't think that you were a cheater, just that being around an alternative lifestyle as such might be indicative of your explorative sexuality and social curiosity. I'm no longer at this stage of life. My life might look a mess, but I know who I am. I'm not so much asking as telling these days, and I felt that you needed more time to grow before being ready to give us. So I'm not asking for him back, I'm saying go. I didn't know what this group meant to you, only that they did, and your claim about the level of involvement changed. This incongruity made me feel unsafe. You had told me initially that you hardly knew them, that you had just met them rock climbing. I later came to find out that they were not only are largely integral to your SF network, but you have strong feelings for Melly. I love her as a friend, a special friend. I felt like she understood me, that she could see me. I wish you had had more fucking moron. You had more conviction with your beliefs. I can understand your nervousness and hesitancy. I can never swap roles and expect you to be cool with it. Not as a boyfriend, not as an impression or a second date, especially when your special friends aren't reacting to me like friends or even real friends at all. Maybe we triggered each other. Maybe we looked to you like a man who failed to protect me, and it's all I start to see, despite the fact that I shouldn't have needed it so much. I wanted it, and maybe I just looked to you like a girl you dated who couldn't love or trust you. I'm not that girl. I was your woman. I was very much able and wanted to do both. In many ways I did. Love was not what was missing here. Fate brought us together. Maybe it's fate that we fell apart, but I do not believe it would come from human error, not the malintent of others, nor our raw stupidity in dealing with it. I believe it to be too petty and human for the powers that be. When you talked about the women who you've tried to love in vain, I related, and because I related, I needed to know that you loved me and not just love. I believe that you do, and I believe in the reasons that you do. We're kind of the same wood. Maybe that's why when I look at you, I see family. In order for us to grow, we need to help each other feel more safe and put our past assumptions down. It might be too late or too early, but this was never not supposed to be. I was so happy to find you finally, and have been in so much pain that you pushed me away and could be fed up with the situation and leave, but I don't think I deserve it. I think we both know that we've loved each other more fiercely and sweetly than any before us. I've never wronged you, betrayed you, lied to you, didn't love you, or didn't have good intentions with you. I proved this 15-minute mark I was just scared, blah, blah, blah. I surrender to what needs to be in trust, that's what is right, but I sincerely hope that I can go with the flow and come to me with where we need to go. So I'm pretty laissez-faire about this, considering. I'm like, okay, let's try, but I know what needs to happen. You need to leave.